Okay, folks, I have to say I'm shocked by this. The California gubernatorial primary debate was canceled. Now, it was scheduled for yesterday, March 24th, and there's another one scheduled for next month. So we'll find out then if the Democrats in the state legislature who applied pressure to get the debate canceled yesterday can redeem themselves. Now, the most recent debate that had been scheduled for yesterday, March 24th, had come under fire for excluding candidates of color. Now, namely, these magnificent people. Now, they were not excluded on purpose. The host of the debate, USC, used a formula developed by one of its professors to determine who qualified to participate in the debate. And I'll give my thoughts on the formula a bit later in this video. But none of the candidates of color made the cut, according to the formula. Now, they've all been polling very low, and their fundraising was comparatively meager, so those things impacted their viability score. Now, because the formula only uses those two criteria, polling percentage and fundraising, now that's why I take issue with the formula, as I'll discuss in a bit. But the focus of the controversy was this guy, Matt Mahan, the mayor of San Jose. Now, he was polling lower than some of the candidates of color, but was slated to debate regardless because the formula does include fundraising as a factor. Now, Matt Mahan has a lot of big donors from Silicon Valley and easily made the cut, despite his virtually non-existent polling. And you could say, well, he entered the race months after everyone else, but that's just an excuse in my view. There's a reason why he's not polling higher, and once you hear him speak, you'll know exactly why. I'll play a clip of him speaking a bit later. Now, regardless, as to the nuts and bolts of how the debate got canceled,
last night, the legislative leaders in Sacramento sent a letter to the USC president demanding the university add the 4 minority candidates to the debate stage, or they would call on voters to boycott the debate. The Democratic candidates who were invited claimed they had asked the university to invite everyone.
Okay, several caucuses in the state legislature were threatening to call for a boycott. Now, the university had tried to reach an agreement with KABC TV to include all the candidates of color in the debate, but the TV station couldn't accommodate the increased number of participants, and so the university canceled the debate. So, interestingly, the two rich guys among the candidates, billionaire Tom Steyer and the aforementioned Matt Mahan, offered to fund the debate in a different forum that they would pay for, but they were ignored. Why? Well, in my view, the controversy comes down to Matt Mahan. Now, he's polling very low, but he qualified for the debate using the formula, which nobody understands, okay? Nobody. Now, USC did a terrible job trying to sell the formula, so funding for the debate isn't even the issue. Now, Matt Mahan's very presence on the debate stage was the issue. Okay, USC's statement was, and I quote, "We categorically, unequivocally deny any allegations that the debate criteria was in any way biased in favor or against any candidate. It simply would not be fair or feasible to invite every candidate in such a crowded field," unquote. And also, quoting, "We recognize that concerns about the selection criteria created a significant distraction from the issues that matter to voters," unquote. Now, one of the excluded candidates, former LA Mayor Antonio Villaraigosa, praised the decision to cancel the debate. Now, in my view, they should not have canceled, okay? They should have found a way to accommodate all the candidates. Now, for example, they didn't need to use KABC TV since they're the ones who didn't want more candidates on stage. Now, they could have just live streamed it with different moderators, for example. They could have held the debate somehow. In any event, here's Villaraigosa.
I've polled lower than some of them, but higher than one of the candidates, Matt Mahan, who was invited.
Now, we could say, well, that's just sour grapes, but Villaraigosa has a huge number of endorsements. Okay, many voters just don't have the time to research all the issues for themselves, so they look to endorsements. Now, if a leader that they trust is on this list and endorses Villaraigosa, that could impact their voting in a permissible way, in a lawful way. So, Why didn't the formula include endorsements? Now, the formula only uses two factors, polling percentage and fundraising. So, as a matter of fact, the formula is too simple, okay? In my view, the fundraising factor becomes elevated because it's one of just two factors in the formula. Now, it would be different if fundraising were one of many factors, but that wasn't the case. Now, other factors could have been included. For example, previous government experience, previous managerial experience, track record of success, etc. Now, those things may be difficult to quantify, but not impossible to quantify. Okay, that's why I say the formula is too simple. And on the flip side, why use a formula at all? It's called a jungle primary, after all. Just take the top 6 candidates according to the polling and invite them to debate. Now, there may be various reasons why they didn't do that, of course, but one of the reasons, in my view, would have to be they didn't want to exclude the Matt Mahans from the debate. Not Matt Mahan specifically, but any candidate who fits his profile. And I'm not saying that that is what happened. I'm just speculating. Okay, USC, a university, depends on relationships with Silicon Valley to contribute to the university, to recruit on campus, all kinds of things. So it makes sense to me that USC would want to elevate the fundraising factor in the formula, given that it's California. Because who are the major donors and employers that USC doesn't want to offend? Now, all of Matt Mahan's donors. And so, the outcry over the formula, in my view, and this is just my view, isn't about the results or the effects of the formula in terms of what's good for California, but about the process. Because, okay, maybe those 6 candidates who qualified to debate on March 24th can be assumed to be the best candidates, best for California, but that's putting the cart before the horse. And by canceling the debate instead of switching from KABC TV to a live stream on YouTube, for example, raises additional questions. It puts the focus on USC. Namely, the question whether USC is afraid to offend Matt Mahan's donors, all of those Silicon Valley big shots. And really, USC has only itself to blame by using a formula that no one understands, which ultimately turns out to be too simple. Now, they could have kept it jungle, okay? Keep it jungle. Just invite the top vote getters in the poll for the debate. Instead, USC interposes a formula to avoid that streamlined result, causing all kinds of problems for themselves and depriving voters of a March debate just 2 months before the primary election. And Matt Mahan is not going to win the California gubernatorial race anyway. Here he is.
Because it's no secret that our most fundamental values as Americans and as Californians are under attack. And here in California, we're standing strong and fighting back against anyone who seeks to undermine our way of life. And we are going to win. I believe with all my heart there is no force, no person, no president stronger than the people of California.
Now, this is just my view. He's not gubernatorial material. Governors have to work with presidents, not against them. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, leave a like and don't forget to subscribe.